Welcome to show 74. It's got a bit a cold front's hit the shed, so we brought a guest in to keep us warm.
That's right. We've been cuddling, getting the warmth.
Yeah, we got a tall one because Tough Cut, you know, was just too small to keep us warm. Tony Justice from Mjazz.
Good evening. Good evening.
Fantastic interview.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably 24 years, 25 years.
A long time.
Brilliant interview. A great career this man's had, and. Should we start with some records?
Let's do that. So what's this?
We're starting off with Dope Boy, and this is from the OXYMORON LP, which is Justice and Metro, and it is on Mjazz right now.
Right now, a lovely 10-inch.
Lovely little 10-inch, and it's still available for all you vinyl lovers.
That's right.
We'll put all the details up. If you've been watching the last few days, you'd have seen I put the sampler video of the album up, and there's a mix that inspired it as well, the album.
There is,
brilliant.
Yes, in the beginning. Yeah. It's a good little journey.
Yeah, it covers lots and lots of genres, like the man himself.
Totally, yeah. Which you will find out during the interview as well.
Especially with his selection as well. He bought along a bag full of goodies for us, emptied his sack all over the shed floor. And,
it really was a mess, I have to say, Brad had to lap it up.
I did.
No, so I have to say that, you know, it took us a good hour to go through the tunes and whittle it down to 9 tracks, and it was bloody difficult.
It was tricky.
We could have done 3 shows.
We could have done 3 shows, we could. And back in the day we probably would have staggered it out over about 3 shows as well, but no, not anymore. No, this is going to be a nice long one again. But yeah, wicked track this. Some Boys in the Hood samples in there as well.
Yeah, a bit of Boys in the Hood, taking it back to the sort of hip hop roots.
That's right,
you know.
Yeah. So from this we're going to go on to another track of yours, and what we got coming up next?
I don't know, what have we got next coming up?
It's this one.
Coming up next. Oh yeah. All right. So we're going to play. It's a remix I did of James Hardway. He was a guy, label mate, when he used to record on Recordings of Substance, and it's a remix of a track he did called Grow, and I believe it's got Amanda Ghost singing on it before, like she was Amanda Ghost. So
there you go.
You know, it's pretty good.
Cracking,
It's all right. It's a good thing.
Here we go. Oh, this is nice. Very nice. Kind of warming me up already.
It's a nice one. Lovely warm roads there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
that's it.
Totally. And a lovely Bob Jones break about to kick in soon.
Any minute now.
Yeah.
Any minute.
So when was this? What year was this, sorry?
You know what? I don't know. Do you not know?
I don't know, mate.
I don't know.
You think I would?
That's old age, isn't it, really?
Official biographer.
I want to guess and say it was 97, 96, 97, something around there. Something around mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know, it's hard to remember. So
how did it come about, you doing the remixing?
Basically, the label I was on, Recordings of Substance, just asked me, will you do it? James Hardway, who's the guy whose track it is, was on there as well. So you know, it was a good tune as well, the original. So I was kind of happy to get hold of the vocals as well. It's a really nice vocal, and I play around with it.
Doesn't come. Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Doesn't come in for a few seconds. I was about to say it. Clearly, I was wrong.
But no, it's a good little tune.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, I mean, sadly as ever, we only get to play a little snippet of these, but you know, you get all the details up here, so you know, go there, download it, buy it, whatever you want. But
I'm sure it's available somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll have a look for you, Brad, and see, you know, I'm sure it's even via Recordings of Substance or something.
Or even it'll be on this one.
Yeah, definitely.
cool. So next up, we've got this curious little 7 here.
Cracking.
Yes.
Great little 7.
This is the Superimposers. This is a friend of mine, Miles Copeland. I've known Miles for many years. We've recorded together. He's got something on the Modernist 4 Cope. He had the Cope thing on there. He also does our mastering for Mjazz. So you know, he's an all-round good guy. So you know, this is Superimposers.
And it's got a kind of a psychedelic sort of like feel to it, so maybe it's that not new psychedelic sort of sound.
Yeah, it's kind of definitely that kind of modern psychedelia kind of vibe to it. It's a good tune, very good tune, and there's also a version floating about at the moment on another label. So track that down if you can. Maybe we'll put the details up.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. All right, well, let's get psychedelic.
this is brilliant.
Yeah, nice drums there, and it sounds so familiar. So anybody out there that actually recognises a piece of music that this may sound like, please write in or text or whatever, you know what I mean? But it's wicked anyways.
Yeah, really good tune, good tune.
It does sound like there's another version of it.
There's definitely another version of it.
There is, because we were going to play it.
we were going to play the alternative version, but yeah, which is on a label called Topanga Canyon. So find it if you can.
I like this because they've actually almost recreated that very English psychedelic sound of about 1967.
Yeah.
And that little sort of like bit before, the version I've heard before was a harpsichord. So you can kind of get where they're coming from. It's brilliant. Totally
No, they
cool.
do some really good stuff. Superimposers. I think there's a few LPs they've done now, and
Oh, I'm going to get this.
yeah, really good.
Totally.
I mean, I'm going to see Miles tomorrow, so
Oh yeah, I'm going to get this.
I'll have a word.
Yeah, it's so good.
I'll have a word.
I'll put the details up.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it is
Really good.
And I do like the other version too.
Yeah, the upper version.
Yeah. It was a toss-up between them, and I have to say this one just edged it, but the other one is wicked. It's got more of, like you say, a Horace Andy type sort of like feel to it.
Yeah, it's got more of a reggae vibe. And, you know, is that the original?
Reggae side.
Is this
Nice.
the original? You know,
Who knows?
No one knows.
Well, we're actually going to go to a nice cover next, and it's a really great version of Roy Ayers' Everybody Loves the Sunshine, and which is a classic, brilliant track in its own right. But this is a great version, and it's so bloody cold in here, it'd be nice to actually have something like that playing anyways. So here we go.
Yeah, we'd love a bit of sunshine right now, but this
Certainly
is
do.
an excellent cover. We played the Ramp version about 15 shows ago, but this is a beautiful bird. I've never heard it before.
No, I picked it up from Rare Kind, you know Rare Kind in Brighton online. I think I was buying something else, and I just went through and saw this. So I thought it's worth a punt, and when it turned up, amazing. Yeah, really good tune. And
nice.
one of my favourite Roy Ayers tunes anyway, you know.
It's nice, it's squidgy.
Yeah, it's really kind of, you know, sort of squelch, analogy, proper sort of analogy. It's really good.
I used Rare Kind the other week, and I ordered about 5 o'clock in the evening. It came the next morning.
Yeah,
Big up
There you
Rare
go. Big up Rare Kinds. There you go.
They are swift. They are really. It normally comes next day, so you know. Big up to them men in Brighton.
It's funny this, isn't it? Because it's almost much more laid back.
Yeah.
Been one of the most laid back tunes there ever was.
Definitely. And the flip of it is really good as well. I think it's the guy who did it, Ken Sano. I don't know. He sounds kind of Japanese to me. I don't know if he is, but the other side is really good as well. I think it's one of his own, but really good tune as well. So.
What I like about this is the thing with the Ramp version, as good as it is, it doesn't have the piano and this bit. You know what I mean? Whereas this actually incorporates everything that was in the Roy Ayers original. Yeah. Brilliant. Fantastic.
You know, to be fair, I could listen to Roy Ayers all day.
Yeah.
You know what, in fact, if I could only listen to Roy Ayers, I'd be happy, yeah. That was it, you know.
He says the same about you.
Well, that's very nice of him to say.
Yeah. Roy Ayers and Chaz and Dave. Nice. Anyway, I guess this is probably at that sort of point where we should be going to the interview, shouldn't we?
We are going to the interview now, so here we go. It's a brilliant interview.
Here we go. Right, welcome to Tony Justice from Mjazz. How's it going?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for coming into the shed, mate.
Thank you for having me. It's an honour.
Yeah,
being a regular viewer to your show, it feels, you know, nice to be here.
No, the honour
like
is
the shed?
all ours.
I love the shed. Yeah,
It's not as posh as your shed, though, mate, is it?
My shed's better, but you know, maybe we'll have the return leg.
Yeah,
we'll come to you.
It's
We have to take our shoes off in your shed.
Nah, you're all right. You're all right. I'll let you leave them on.
Right, as ever, how did you get into music, and when was the starting point?
Well, I thought about it because I've watched your show before, and obviously, you know what? It was probably sound that I got into first. You know what I mean? When I was about probably 7 or 8, I had a little tape recorder that was my dad. Well, my dad had it, and then he no longer used it. Gave it to me, and you know, probably my earliest memories going round and recording sounds and conversations and things from the radio, and then you know, just cataloguing them on these cassette tapes. Not really in any order or not for any purpose, but just to, you know, really just record stuff, listen to it back, be like, wow, you know, just like conversations and, you know, but then to be able to listen to it again and...
Have you still got them?
No, not anymore. No, I don't think so, no. I've got a lot of cassettes still because, you know, cassette was a big part of, you know, again, my musical education, I guess, because, you know, moving on from there, really, the first time I kind of became aware of music was when listening to hip-hop and electro. And that, you know, I guess was the starting point for a lot of people, but that's kind of what set me off really on the path. When I heard those tunes, it was like, wow, you know, this is what I want to be listening to. This is kind of almost what I've been searching for. I guess around there I was 10, 11, it was probably what, 1983, 1984, stuff was happening, and it was almost like, you know, wow, you know, we've discovered this thing and it's different and it's not, you know, what my mum and dad are listening to on Radio 2 and it's not. It was kind of our own, you know.
Yeah, totally.
It was something that we could just grasp and think, right, you know.
I think most of the people we've actually had in here, you know, start.
It's a similar story,
exactly,
you know.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think, you know, and I was saying to Brad earlier, you know, I think during our lifetime, I think we're quite lucky because a lot of, you know, you can look at it from punk to hip hop to hardcore. A lot of different musical movements have happened during our lifetime, and you know, we've kind of,
and in this country,
and that we've been lucky enough to you know, be involved with, or you know, listen to, or you know, be influenced by.
And you've actually been involved in a fair few of them.
Indeed.
Maybe not the punk bit.
No,
even though your hair's a little bit spiky.
Thank you very much. Yeah, but
and you gobbed at us earlier. Straight in Chris's mouth.
I didn't even ask him.
That was something else totally, but you know.
So what was some of the sort of like electro tracks that, you know, really got you going when you first heard them?
I suppose the first thing I remember actually buying, and it was probably, I was thinking earlier, it was maybe either from Boots when they used to have a record section, or Woolworths, and it would have been Crucial Electro 1 or 2. And I remember buying this tape, and I'm pretty sure I must have heard some stuff before because I kind of knew what I saw it and I knew exactly what it was, so I'm guessing I must have heard maybe some Planet Rock. I remember hearing the Future Shock album by Herbie Hancock, and obviously Rocket and stuff like that, and I remember maybe borrowing those off someone, playing them on my mum's cranky old record deck, you know, and taping them onto a tape, and then getting Crucial 1 or 2 and getting it home, and you know, there was some lads in my street where I grew up in Luton, and you know, we all kind of, you know, kind of like this kind of music. We all try to break and whatever, and, you know, badly, but you know. And I remember getting this tape and listen to this, you know, and 2 3 Break was on it, and you know, Pac Jam.
That would be Crucial 2.
Crucial 2. Thank you. And it was just like, wow, you know, this shit is the future. You know, this is what, wow, you know. And it was amazing. It just opened our eyes totally. And then from there on inwards, you know, we would search, wow, what is this electro stuff, you know, and then we'd search, because I think obviously that was in 83, so that would have come out a few years before. Sure. I'm guessing, my recollection
82, 83,
so then we went back, and I remember Electro 4 being about, some guy, wow, he's got Electro 4, you know, wow, you know, so then, you know, we'd get a tape of that, and then, you know, I remember buying 5, 6, you know, all on tapes, because tape was the thing, you know, I had my tape player, different one from what I was recording on back in the day. Sure. I graduated to a bigger one, you know, ghetto block. I remember, you know, sort of buying a lot of tapes, and then, records started to come in, you know, into my sort of being. I think probably when I got a record deck, you know, my uncle would have given me, hey, I have this deck, and you know, some cranky thing with 2 speakers, and but then once you've got a deck, you've got to start buying some records. So that's when it started. So I'd have the tapes, the records, I'd be buying both, playing a bit of vinyl, and then I think just through building the collection up, you kind of get that thing where you're like, oh yeah, you know, you start hearing bits and pieces. I wasn't really too sure what I was going to do. If I ever was, I didn't know I was going to make tunes, but obviously you're hearing beats, you're hearing, you know, bits of a tune, and you're thinking, well, that's interesting, that could be of some use.
And also you're young enough to think, I would love to be able to do that.
Yeah, that was probably a lot of it, you know, the sort of, you know, when you get that thing in your head, you know, and you've got youthful enthusiasm, and you feel, you know, you've got, maybe I could do something with that, you know, kind of, it's almost that dream, innit, you know, that you're gonna actually one day do it. And like I said, I already had this thing in my head, so I think it was then kind of a progression. I got some decks, you know, I got my 2 decks that again, they weren't Technics or anything.
Nor mine.
They were Sony with a couple of, you know, stop-start buttons that some dude had, I bought off. A guy used to have a sports shop in Luton, and he did a bit of DJing, and he, I've got these, and he sold me these 2 Sonys, which are all right, but you know, to speed it up, you have to do a lot of this.
Yeah, were they belt drives?
They were.
Yeah, so I had Citronics.
And you had to, you know, there was no speed. You had to keep doing a lot of this, and then, you know, I think possibly when I got to college, you know, there was a few lads, and we all sort of had this interest, and you know, we used to sort of congregate at mine, and you know, a couple of guys thought they could rap, and you know, we kind of got this whole kind of bit of a crew mentality, but you know, we didn't really know what we were doing.
What sort of year was this?
Oh, well, so that would have been, I would have been at college, 89, 90.
Yeah.
88, 89, yeah, 89, 90 sort of time. So
golden year of hip hop.
Golden year, you know, and we're banging into the hip hop. Really, you know, there were a lot of good tunes. So I was really buying a lot of vinyl then. You know, well, as much as I could afford to buy. You know, I was just at college at the time, student, whatever. You know, but I'd be doing my Saturday job and I'd be getting my 15 quid, whatever, and you know, that would be going on vinyl. You know, a lot of hip hop, and also at the time, you know, it was sort of, I don't know, I'd kind of started to discover house as well. Yeah, there was. I remember hearing Love Can't Turn Around, you know, and JM Silk stuff and Jack Your Body, and that stuff was all hitting the charts. And, you know, as a young teen, you'd be, you know, almost like when you'd hear electro for the first time, it was something else. It was like, wow, you know, this is some good shit. You know? This is like good American music, you know. Because American music was the thing we was all listening to, really. Totally. It was what informed us, really. And but I remember sort of making the bridge between hip hop and house through Todd Terry.
Hip house?
Yeah, kind of. But I remember Todd Terry produced a hip hop group called Chaos.
That's right.
And they did I think there was an album called Court Is in Session, and there was certainly a 12 off it. And I remember hearing that maybe on, I don't know, Dave Pearce, Fresh Start to the Week. I don't think it was Mike Allen, because I think it was a bit
late for that.
Yeah, a little bit after that. And I remember hearing that, and there was like this kind of pads, and you know, it was different. It was kind of different production. And then I think I had the album anyway. I knew Todd Terry produced it, certainly. And then he brought out, you know, his LP, and it was like, wow, it's Todd Terry. And then I bought that, and it was like, you know, it was house, but it was like, wow, you know, this is Todd Terry done that, but he's done this as well. Yeah. You know, and I guess it was kind of similar to like One Atkins back in the electro days as well, doing Techno City. You know, it was, and then going on Detroit techno, but then, you know, then becoming involved in that whole electro scene as well. And it's kind of, you know, one of them kind of parallel things, and it was like, wow, you know, Todd's done it, so it must be kind of right to listen to this stuff as well, you know. And also I like the way that it kind of reminded me of like Rare Groove as well, a bit, Todd Terry stuff, because you'd hear the tune and then there'd be a break in the middle. Yeah. He'd always have like a break had come in, you know, for a few bars. And it always kind of reminded me of that, because, you know, when you were digging, you'd listen to a record and you listen, and there you go, there's the break, you'd find it, you know, it'd be in the middle of all. Exactly. You could see it. Yeah, of course you could. And when I listened to Todd Terry, it was like, wow. It kind of reminded me of that, because I guess, especially at that sort of time, everything would influence each other. Yeah. You know what I mean? You would have had the disco that turned into house, but there'd be break beats in disco, and house DJs would then use some of the same break beats and the same samples that hip hop DJs would have, and stuff like that. So it's all going to cross over. I think it was all joined together, and you know, really, you know, I listened to electro, that turned into hip hop. Then when I started to listen to you know, hip hop, like, you know, what we call the golden era now, and hearing the samples, then I think, fucking, where's that come from? And then you'd go off and you'd find where the samples were from, and that you know, that becomes your gateway then into breaks and stuff, and you know, Rare Groove, as they were calling it. And at the same time, at the tail end of the 90s, most US hip hop albums had a house track on it. Yeah, you know, that they decided to rap over. Yeah, you know what I mean? Whether it be King's Son or the Jungle Brothers. Yeah, exactly. That's right. They also, and again, I think that was quite good. You know, it's quite. I don't think. I mean, it's quite healthy. Yeah. It's like, wow, you know, look, they're doing it, and then, you know, then it did go a bit, you know, with that whole hip house thing and whatever. I sort of got a bit Mr. Lee and all that sort of stuff. Bit played out, you know. Although, you know, there was a few highlights in there. Cookie Crew. Yeah. Well, you know. Yeah. The manners of it. They weren't too keen on that, I don't think. No. I think that was, you know, they were a bit used against their will on that one, sort of almost. But yeah.
So in regards to then sort of looking for beats and stuff.
Yeah.
So you got quite heavily into the sort of like looking for the samples and stuff yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, once we'd sort of gone into the studio, and which was 90, 91. I was at college. I had to do some work experience. I was doing a media course, so you know, I thought it only right that I should, you know, try and get into a recording studio, because you know that's what I wanted. So I did in town in Luton where we are, and got in there and you know, did my 2 weeks. They said, you want to come back, do a session? So we did. So you know, around that I'd always buying hip hop, you know, and also, you know, at that stage of buying hip hop, you get a lot of bonus breaks on the other side as well. So you know, there was a lot of sampling from hip hop as well. You know, so you know, it wasn't always going back to the original, you know, to where the break would come from.
You just wanted the drums.
We just wanted the drums. So wherever you could get that, you know, if it happened to come off the original album, then you know, if you managed to track that down and you had a break on it, then fine, you know. But otherwise, you know, we'd be turning it. Look, there's a bonus beat, and that's where we would source a lot of our material from. You know, the breaks, you know, little vocal samples and what have you. Do you know what I mean? And it's funny because I can't remember. There was someone on the other week saying about breaks and how they used to call them different names, and it was the same. You know, there was the Too Bad, which was, you know, Lynn Collins. You know, and you know, there was about 3 or 4 different bits out of that break. You know,
Too Bad.
Yeah, they all got different names, and you know, and it was the kind of same thing. And it's funny because when the Cookie Crew were on, I remember hearing them. That definitely wasn't Mike Allen, and they were rapping over Bobby Bird, Hot Pants I'm Coming, and they were rapping over the you know, the 12 that came out on Urban, and they were rapping over the
breakbeat,
reprise, of that. And I remember clearly, hearing that, and then going to the record shop on the day after or the week after, and and seeing it and thinking, wow, that's that, you know, and buying it, and then, you know, then years later, you know, sampling it myself, and it, you know, it's kind of that whole kind of
merry-go-round.
That whole kind of cycle where you know, you sort of find something and then you end up using it years later. And I'm still doing that now. I still, you know, regularly trawl the records and go, oh yeah, you know, because I think we were saying earlier, you buy records and you often buy it with an ulterior motive just to get that break or listen to the one track, and then
usually there's so much more on it.
you play the next tune and wow, you know, I didn't know how to turn it over. There's wow, you know, so I think you know, they're a gift that keeps on giving, really, aren't they? Sometimes
they certainly are.
You know what
Remember that, folks. Record vouchers.
Yeah.
W.H. Smith record vouchers. So early 90s, you were actually going into the studio.
And 91.
91.
Well, I think we're going. I think the tune was released in 91, but
you were there before.
Almost certain that we.
So tell us a bit about the tune that was released.
So the tune was.
But did you go in there intending to make hip hop, or did you in there?
Of course, We were hip hop boys through and through. You know, we loved our hip hop. You know, we thought we were going to do a hip hop tune. Really, I don't really know what we thought, but you know, we just kind of thought, right, you know, that's what we're going in to do. And I think there were so many other things going on at the same time. You know, hardcore was taking off. You know, the whole rave thing was happening, and in Luton where we were, very much so as well. And the studio that we used was just down the road from like quite a big rave club in Luton, which was called The Grid, which also had a studio underneath it as well. So, you know, I think we were taking all that on board. We went in to kind of do this hip hop tune, I suppose. We had beats. We had Young MC, Know How, which we were, you know, the incredible bongo back and break, but you know, slightly different. It's got a bit of an enhanced kick and snare underneath it on there. So we took that. There's a Public Enemy sample, hence the Death Row bit. There's a bit of scratching, but I can't remember where it's from. I'll have to.
So you sampled the scratching?
We sampled the scratching, yeah. And it just kind of morphed into this kind of, I suppose really it was like proto sort of drum and bass kind of, you know, whatever it was called then. I don't really know. A lot of hardcore, whatever. Do you know what I mean? But it fitted in with that, and it was wow, you know. Yeah, this is kind of good. And it was kind of, you know, something that, you know, a lot of, obviously there was UK hip hop, but you know, predominantly it was the US stuff that was, and it kind of was, the whole hardcore thing was, you know, kind of had a very British feel about it, and a lot of the people who were doing it were, you know, from around our area, or 10 miles up the road, or, you know, we knew other guys who were sort of doing this stuff. You know, you had Spats on last week, you know, them guys in Milton Keynes, you know, and, you know, I did some bits with Spats as well, you know, a bit later on.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of sort of stuff happening all around that same time. So, and it was like, wow, you know, this is...
And it was interesting because it was totally UK scene.
It was totally UK.
It was totally UK, which... and it blew up, and record shops were popping up
all over
out of nowhere, where they were just selling white labels. Well,
people, you know, I mean, not specifically on that one, but, you know, after that, you know, we did it where we'd do a 12 back of the car, right, off we go. We go up to, you know, Leicester, Nottingham, Northampton, you know, selling them out the back of a car, and you could easily do that. You could do like 1,000 out your boot. Yeah. No problem, do you know what I mean? And it was like, wow, you know.
And what name were you going under at the time?
Justice. Yeah, the Death Row thing was Blame and Justice, and that was, you know, I was at college with Blame. Blame was doing graphics, I was doing media, you know, we sort of...
So this would be around maybe a year or two before he went to Moving Shadow with it?
Yeah, I think he did his thing in 92. I think Music Takes You was in 92.
Which was a massive
tune. So, you know, we got together, and there was a few other lads who were sort of round us at the same time, and, you know, we were sort of a little unit. And I think, you know, me and him were certainly the driving force, you know. I think a few other lads came to the studio as well, but, you know, we kind of had a vision, do you know what I mean? I think we were both, you know, Comrade Blame is quite a driven individual as well, so it was like, right, you know, this is what we're going to do, and it came out, and it was like, right, yeah, Blame and Justice, that's the thing, you know. He was Blame, he used to do a lot of graffiti and stuff as well, and so, you know, it kind of felt right, do you know what I mean? And so we signed that to a label that was in Luton at the time called Chill, which was quite a big sort of label in that whole kind of early hardcore rave scene, and it basically came out on a white, and, you know, it got a bit of props here and there. It was kind of minimal at the time, though. It was, you know, Palavas, Swanee played it at Weekend World or one of them big raves. You know, we'd hear it here and there, but Bookham played it. It was on one of his mixtapes for a while, and, you know,
one of those Yaman mixtapes.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was one of them, and
they were great.
Yeah. There was a link to it up only just recently, which made me sort of remember it. I was like, wow, you know. Dan played. I couldn't even remember, you know, one of them that kind of really took me back. Yeah. Wow. And so that was kind of all happening around that time, and then, you know, Blame went off and did his Music Takes You thing on Moving Shadow, and I went on to work with the guy Mercy, so which I did Soothe My Soul tune with him, which was a very big tune. You know, I just kind of met Mercy through. Actually, we were label mates on Chill as well. They were doing stuff on Chill, and it was we should get together and do something. So, you know, me and him sort of got together again. You know, it was like, right, I took a few samples, a couple breaks. You know, I couldn't even. I can remember one of them was off. I think it was off I can't remember. It was a white, but it wasn't the original break. But it was a hip hop tune. So you know, and it was like, right, yeah, we use these breaks, and there was a bit from another sort of hardcore tune at the time, and it kind of worked well. And there's a break. The vocal was from Shelter Me Circuit.
Oh, I love that tune. Yeah.
So and it kind of just went together, and it was one of them tunes. We did it on a EPS 16 sampling keyboard, you know, there was no like no frills.
With the modulator.
It was just like, right, you know, that's what we're doing it on, and did it, and, you know, it worked out really well, do you know what I mean? It was just one of them tunes, and it's one of them tunes that even now, you know, you play it to people and like, oh, you do that tune, and you know, people remember it, and it, you know, it's quite nice.
How did you feel the scene was going? Because I suppose hardcore ended up going a very much jungle that ended up then sort of splitting off.
It went off into many different factions. I mean, really after 92, I mean, I did Soothe My Soul in 92. I did another thing, Nitro 44, which is Son of Justice, it was called, and that, you know, that's got a sample from something we're going to play later, or it might be the flip of the other side, which is the Manziel tune.
Right.
And, you know, it had another dodgy sample from Four Tops or something. No, Temptation, Standing in the Shadows of Love. Temptation.
Standing.
No, it's Four Tops.
Four Tops,
Sorry,
And, you know, so there was that was kind of a very limited underground thing, you know, kind of got a little bit of props and bits and pieces, and then yeah, like you say, the scene was going a bit dark and a bit
moody.
Yeah, a bit moody, and it kind of wasn't interesting us very much. So we kind of stepped out, you know. Even in the middle where we did like a progressive tune, like progressive house was starting to come through.
It was big, wasn't it? Mid-90s.
Yeah, but, you know, Lemon Soul and all them kind of coming big scene. So I think we did mess about, and we self-released like a progressive house thing, and because we were kind of not that enamoured with what was going on, drum and bass wise, and it took really, I suppose, being truthful, probably hearing like Bookham's tune music, and we were like, wow, you know, this, that's kind of what we want to do. That kind of almost took us back to where we started, you know, when we did Death Row. We didn't really know that we were kind of, along with, you know, a few others, obviously kicking off a kind of scene, you know, drum and bass, which would eventually turn into drum and bass. And it kind of, I guess it kind of reminded us of kind of where we started off, and and we felt this was where it should be, you know. This was how the progression should have been to this point. So that's when we sort of got back on it, started recording a few more tunes, went back into the studio, and that's when we started to work with Moving Shadow. Quite a few releases on.
And were you still under the name Justice?
Yeah, we were blaming Justice, so it was kind of a, you know, resurgence of that kind of moniker at the time. And yeah, I think we did. There was 3 or 4 releases we did on there, which, you know, I think, you know, when I look back and I listened to some the other day, you know, in Readiness were coming on in the shed, you know, and I'm going through this, and you know, I mean, there's one of them, I think it's Essence, the Jazz Testament, that, you know, Goldie started his Boiler Room set off with quite recently, and you know, I've read that, you know, he holds it in quite high esteem and stuff, and you know, and when I listen back, you know, we was doing some quite, you know, we was always a bit more trying to be experimental, not you know, up our own arse or anything, but just always trying to be a bit different, you know. Pushed it back. We didn't want to sound like anyone else, and we wanted to find samples that no one else was finding. It was always a bit of a race in drum and bass sometimes to find a sample or use the sample before somebody else did, because you know, you'd go into the studio on a Tuesday, you'd make a tune, you'd use a sample, and then flipping on Friday you'd hear someone playing something out that had a sampling that you know, so we always tried to really dig deep, and you know, I suppose we were starting to dig a lot of jazz and that kind of stuff at that time as well, you know.
Which is kind of how it went in the later 90s, isn't it? Yeah.
The thing was as well that the whole thing, you know, that drum and bass started to get lumped into that whole jazzy drum and bass thing.
Intelligent drum and bass.
Yeah, and there was all these, you know, titles that never really fitted it was, and a lot of people thought that to be jazzy drum and bass you just had to throw a little trumpet sample in, or but you know what we took to, or certainly what I took to mean to, you know, by jazz was the, you know, the thing that, you know, there were no rules, you know, there were no confines to write drum and bass the way that, you know, jazz guys would have wrote jazz. You know what I mean? The mindset, you know, the ethos, not necessarily by using
Amen Brother.
Or a tinkly piano sample. Or, you know, some guy playing a sax, because, well, that's jazz, right? It was to
think like a jazz man.
You know, think outside the box, be a bit clever, you know, and just, you know, do something a bit deeper, you know, dig deep and you know, use some good samples and, you know, put it together nicely. And I think that was definitely those Moving Shadow things were the start of, you know, of us doing it, and certainly myself, of, you know, sort of starting to get that whole kind of mentality, which would lead into the Modern Urban Jazz label. MJazz. So, you know, and again, that was just a kind of extension of kind of what we were doing, you know. It was somewhere to record this stuff and to put it out, and not have to worry about, you know, we being a bit, you know, we're a bit forward thinking, you know, we're being a bit too, because it was like, well, if we are, then stick it out ourselves.
Let's
just get a label going. And lucky, you know, we were working with a distributor, and you know, they said, right, listen, you know, we'll give you a hand with that, and you know, so it was born, and it kind of gave us that little platform to say, right, okay, we'll sort of, you know, plough this furrow, you know, and the case in point is the Icons album. Which, you know, we did.
Emotions with Intellect.
Exactly. Which, when was it released, Brad?
1995.
I don't know, was it, Dave?
That's what
it could have been
mine-
95, 96, but you know what? That album was made in about 94.
Right.
I think we probably even started to make, probably about 94. It was made quite a bit before it was released, because like we released it and then people were a bit like, you know what? That's wow. You know, they didn't really know what to do with it. I don't think it's kind of too different. So it did get shelved for a while, and you know, there was this whole sort of thing. Well, you know, are we gonna come out? And it was like, right, listen, let's just put that out. We've got Mjazz going now. Let's just put it out on that, and you know, we'll cut it across 3 bits of vinyl and do a CD and stick it out there.
So you put it out.
We put it out on Modern via our distributor.
As Icons.
Yeah, as Icons. Sorry, as Icons, and that was me and Blame again working. Working side by side, working in tandem, whatever, working together. And you know, the album was critically received really well, and you know, sort of kind of, you know, it was a bit of a vindication really, because it was like, wow, you know, we did this and we knew it was good, and people sort of slept on it for a bit, and now it's come out, and
but they were just catching up, maybe.
Well, that's,
you know, what I mean? Maybe they needed a year or two,
you know,
to get used to it.
There's things been written about it, and you know, there's folklore builds up around things, done it, and I would never say that myself, you know, but kind of, and then it was like, wow, they did catch up, I think.
Good.
Thinking about it now, thinking back in hindsight, and you know, it did. They caught up to it.
Yeah.
And I still, and if you listen to it now, it still stands up. It really does. And we released it digitally last year. Did we release it digitally last year, Brad?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, yeah.
and because it's never been out on a digital format.
You know, I'm your biographer.
I know.
Now.
You've got a job, fella. And because it had never been out digitally before that, and we released it, and I think even it cropped up in Fact magazine's 100 best 90s blah blah albums. That I think it was like number 17 or something. You know, your shed reminds me of the studio that we worked in to do
a shithole
with nappies boxes.
That we sort of probably started a few sketches of that LP out in, you know, and certainly another tune I did, a quiz, was recorded in a place not dissimilar to your own salubrious abode.
A quiz was a big deal.
That was a big tune for me, and
you've got quite a few mixes on the site at the moment, aren't you, as well?
There's to sort of commemorate, I think it was its 15th anniversary. We sort of got together, you know, guys we work with and, you know, that we sort of respect in our arena to sort of do, I think there's about 7 or 8 remixes of it, which is, that's out digitally at the moment. There'll be Summit on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah,
there will.
In green.
I've seen this show. Deal. And but I mean, at the time when I made that tune, again, it was no one was doing that style. It was kind of that kind of electro beat, you know. No one was really doing that, and I guess it was just that thing again of wanting to do something different. You know, I don't, when I go out to record, I don't want to do stuff that
you don't want to follow.
No,
you want to
almost
innovate.
Yeah, and that's how I feel. Music should be, you know.
Of course.
And that's all how we always viewed, you know, our scene. You know, or certainly the bit of the scene that we were involved with. It was like, you know, listen, you know, if you got to step up, and you know, you've got to try and do something different. And that tune was really different, you know. I think at the time, and again, it was like one of them. Wow, you know, that tune, Tony. I didn't even know that was your, you know, and it did. It was a big tune. I mean, for me personally, it's probably, you know, one of the, you know, you make one of them tunes, you know, you get out of tune in your life, and that's probably, I would say, mine. And it's certainly the one that I'm probably most known for, you know, and it's probably the one that, you know, means the most. It's special, you know. It just happened and that it did happen in a place like this, because I can remember sitting there, and you know, it was like a garage, you know. It was shabby, do you know? I'm not saying the shed is shabby, but
it's pretty shabby.
But the place, but it was, you know, take the surroundings and everything out of it. It was just like, wow, you know, it happened. And going back to what we were saying about cassettes, when we do a session, then we inevitably at the end of the session you'd record to a cassette.
Exactly.
To to go away and listen
to it in a car, because it would sound different, and you need to listen to it how somebody else would.
Always need to listen in the car, because if it sounded good in the car, you knew it was going to sound good anywhere, because invariably I don't know, I had a shitty Fiesta or something, which, and it had a crap system, and so you'd put it in there, and I put it in and I listened to it driving home, and the studio was not that far from my house, but I listened to it and it was like, wow, that, and I was literally doing the arrangement by just muting bits in and out on Cubase.
Right.
There was no arrangement, it was just all the loops were there, and I just mute them, so I just muted them as I thought I should hear them.
Yeah.
And
that was it?
That was it. Even the arrangement, like from the muted mix, was like, wow, this is, it's amazing. It was amazing, and so I think I probably got 3 or 4 minutes, and then so the week after I took the tape back, we put the tape in, we copied the arrangement, we just dragged the bits into Cubase, we listened to the tape, pull a bit across, right, yeah, that's right, and then just sort of finished it off. There's about 2 minutes to do at the end, so make it drop out again, bring it back, and but a special tune, and just came together, just amazing.
And an interesting title, because it sounds like, could it be a god, or could it be could it be a word from scriptures or something? But where's it come from?
Right, so it was it's the name of a Robinson's fruit drink that they were trialling at the time. I think it was a different spelling. I was working somewhere at the time, and someone had this drink, and you know what, I love the name. Always like trying to find a name for a tune, or essence, and blah blah, whatever. I used to love a name, and I saw this on a bottle, and it's like Aquis or well, yeah, that's not. And it was probably even the same day that I would have gone to the studio. I probably used to go Tuesday evening, and so it was a Robinson's fruit drink, basically.
Shame it was only a trial.
Yeah. I don't think they didn't carry it on. But I think, and it's funny because you mentioning that came out somewhere else, but then I think Scott Metro, my good friend and cohort on Modern Urban Jazz, then Googled it the day after, and I think he found it to be true, because I couldn't trust my memory. I couldn't remember if my recollection. I knew that was why, but I couldn't quite remember if it was.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it was a fruit drink.
Excellent.
It's a fruit drink, people. Robinson should have run with that. They should have done.
They should have.
Yeah. They used your track.
They could have used your track as the advert.
I could be rolling in it.
Loaded. So that moves us on, I guess, to Viewpoints.
Viewpoints, yeah. That was probably 97.
96.
I don't know if it was though.
I'm only going off your website.
Things are hazy. So yeah, that would have been. I'll have a look in my bag in a minute. It's in there. No.
96, 97.
Yeah. That was my first. That was my debut. My debut album. Solo-y, and it was with a label, Recordings of Substance, who are based in South London. The guy who manages the Creatures, as we talked about earlier, Doug, and it was just one of them things. I wasn't. I do like, as an artist, the LP is everything to me. The LP is the concept. I'm not. I'm not really. I mean, even now with Mjazz, we're very much an LP-based label, because I think that's what it's about for me. I'm not really about singles and 12s. Although I've done them. And,
singles promote what's going to be the end product, which is an album.
Yeah, you normally take the single off, or it's a precursor to, or it's a remix after, or whatever. So it
captures a moment in time for an artist, doesn't it? An album.
Yeah, definitely. It is. It's a photo. It's an audio photo, and I wasn't even kind of doing an album, it was just I was just kind of formulating stuff, and tunes were coming out. It's like, I'll put that aside for my album, and before I knew it, I had 10, 12 tracks that I felt were a body of work. Do you know what I mean? And you don't, it wasn't a concept album by any stretch of the imagination, but when I listened to it, everything flowed, and it all worked together. And I think when you've got 10 tracks that flow, then that there's something going on there. And so I just kind of I did a couple of remixes for the Recordings of Substance guys, and so they were aware of sort of what I was doing, and again there was another Luton connection there, because one of the guys who I just remixed for them was from Luton. You know, there was a couple of bands sort of they had from our end, so it was kind of one of them. You kind of have these things that crop up, and it's like, you know, there's seems to be a little connection there. So you know, it's like, right, you know, do you want to do an LP? Yeah, I'll do an LP. And you know, that was kind of the viewpoints thing kind of coming together, and you know, being released as a body of work. And at the time, you know, I was kind of really into the thing of just wanting to be an artist as well. You know, I didn't really want to get bogged down in, you know, drum and bass or this scene or that scene. I just wanted to make music, you know. And well, my next album there was an album that sort of came in between, which was Greatest Hit, which was kind of a collection of some other bits, and it was kind of, you know.
And that was on Mjazz as well.
No, that was on Substance also, on Recordings of Substance. You know, that was just kind of a bit more of a gathering together. There's some remixes off the, you know, it's kind of play on Greatest Hit. You know, Greatest Hits, blah blah blah. You know, it was kind of that thing.
20 smash hits.
20 techno
from
bangers.
Anthony Justice.
Yes. Exactly. You know, all packaged together in a nice, you know, neat thingamajig. But
a bit like your Top of the Pops album.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
You like that.
Yeah. Hand down the front things and that.
Hands-on justice.
But then
You can use that.
Yeah, thank you. Let me write that. I've got a pen. And then from there, I went on to do Here's to the Future. I don't know if have you got that in your notes?
I haven't got that in my notes.
Have you not? No. So Here's to the Future is the you know, the clear 10. That was kind of that was really when I kind of went for it as, right, you know, I think I really got artistically into it then, you know. That's what I kind of and I did, you know, and I was fortunate enough to go to, I was in LA, I was DJing, I think, and I used to stay, the guy who brought me out there originally, good friend of mine, Aldo Bender, you have to, don't mind his surname.
That's all right.
Mr. Bender. And he licensed Icons for release in the States via React. He worked for React at the time, so he brought it out there, and I went out there and toured it, DJ toured it, and me and him went around and DJ. We became good friends subsequently. So I'd go out, he'd, you know, have me out there to DJ, and kind of, he was kind of my US agent at the time. So I said to him, listen, I really would love to hook up with some rappers when I come out.
Yeah.
No problem, he says. So I go out there, and a few guys come through. They weren't really what I was looking for. And then one guy, Denoid, turned up and was just, you know, out of this world. So
yeah, he's amazing.
Cool Keith-esque.
Yeah.
Just really.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. That's what he turned up on. And really humble guy, you know, lovely guy. You know, really, really nice fella. And as soon as, like, you know, I gave him some beats and he went in there and pretty much, you know, they were almost one takers, you know. And there was a few different things he did, you know, I think it was 3 or 4 maybe rhymes he did for me. And you know, it was that, I kind of felt, you know, pleased, you know, it's that, again, it's that whole circle being fulfilled, you know. It's like, right, I'm getting to do a bit of hip hop now, do you know, I feel, you know, and it was with, you know, this cool guy who was just, you know, rapping about mad stuff and science.
And how was it being in America doing stuff? How different was it from being in the UK? Because obviously the UK scene is very, well, UK, isn't it? Which is, you know, it couldn't be anywhere else. So how was it being in LA with palm trees?
Go down,
amazing. Amazing. You know, every boy's dream, really. You know, I'd always hankered for the States, you know what I mean? Just from listening to hip hop back in the day, you know, it's, like I say, you know, a lot of, you know, all of our, in here, you know, culture that we would have followed would have been American, you know, and I think when you get to go there and, you know, it's something you love that's taking you there as well, it was that to start with. It's like, wow, you know, I'm getting to go to America, this is amazing, you know. And then it's like, like you say, you know, you're driving around and, you know, you're seeing signs for Compton and, you know, Long Beach and, you know, all these things that, you know, you've heard in records. And it's, you know, the climate, you know, I can see it, you know, in my head as we talk about it, you know, it comes back, and it's, you know, it's leaning out the window and it's hot, amazing. And that all really added to the experience, I think, as well, you know. And I felt lucky, you know. I felt yeah, you know, this I felt fortunate really. Yeah, it did do well, and you know, and like I say, it took me to the States. You know, more importantly for me, it took me to the States, and you know, was able to, you know, go to, you know, DJ in LA, and then go to San Francisco, and then St. Louis and New York, you know, get to all these places that you've always wanted to go, you know.
Me and Brad are going to do that, I reckon, next year.
How do they compare to Luton?
We're going to get a Winnebago.
It was better than Luton.
Surely the hills of LA ain't as good as the hills of Dunstable.
Dunstable Downs, they are a sight to behold, Brad. You're quite right. As you've seen them with your own eyes.
They've got a visitor centre.
They have, and it's a nice visitor centre.
There you go.
It's a nice visitor centre up there as well, but it was slightly on a different path, I think.
Different thing.
It was a different.
But on a sunny day,
listen, you can't beat it. You can't beat it up the Downs on a sunny day. It is lovely. I could have quite easily stayed in the States. I wanted to. I would have really liked to, you know, but you know, real life and everything
gets in the way.
It does, you know, and you know, there were other things going on, you know, outside of music. So, you know, that kind of it kind of keeps you a bit grounded as well.
I think, humble.
It does. I think you need that as well, you know, because I never really. You know, I didn't want to go into I'm not a guy to blow my own trumpet anyway, and I try to keep it on a level, and you know, her indoors, you know, Wicked kept me level as you like. Do you know what I mean? So really, it's a lot of thanks to her. Do you know what I mean? You know, I mean, I got married when I was about 25, so I think that did keep me very level. I probably
very grounded.
I don't think I would have gone off and been, you know. The studio I was using at the time, I just went in there. This guy was in there before me. Stuff's really good, you know. I'd like to just pop that out, you know. So, so we put that out. He was only some young guy called Alex Seeker, his name was. And I don't know what's happened to him. I really wouldn't mind seeing where he's at now. So, you know, if he's out there, tell him to get in touch. But, and...
surprise, surprise! Alex, come on in. No.
But no, the kid was doing some really good, and it was nice to be in a position where, you know, you can see a kid doing some good stuff, and it's like, yeah, listen, you know, we've got a platform, and that's something that Modern Urban Jazz has always tried to do, is, you know, if there's to bring, you know, the I don't know if you want to call him the little guy, or, you know, whatever, to bring them through, you know, some sort of, you know,
nurture,
bring some fresh blood through sometimes, you know. And not for any, you know, sort of other reason than to give them a platform, you know, really, and say, right, you know, here you go. We can, through the Modernist albums, definitely we've been able to do that, because, you know, they're not comps. They're comps
like in the samplers almost.
Yes, and it's all different artists doing original stuff on a, you know, on a CD or whatever, and it's nice to be able to give someone a little platform to maybe go on and, you know, do something else, or you know, nurture them for a bit, and then, you know, let them go, because, you know, I'm not about holding people down or whatever, or, you know, tying them into anything. That's not what it's about. You know, it's just purely for, you know, the sort of music, and, you know, giving them a little chance.
Looking at the label, especially what we've seen of it for the last few years, you've put 4 Modernist albums out.
Correct. Yeah.
Some of the artwork and some of the concepts, be it, you're still releasing vinyl.
Yeah.
Still doing hand artwork as well.
Yeah.
And the tapes.
Yeah.
It's purely a labour of love,
it is a labour of love, you know, and, you know, I'm interested in the art side of it, you know, and the artefact. It is actually, you know, something tangible that, you know, because, you know, we all know that music's becoming less and it's air now, you know, music's air.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist really, you know, and, you know, whilst I've got MP3s on my laptop and whatever, you know, I like a product, you know, and as a record buyer myself, you know, if I search something out and, you know, and it looks good and it's nice and, you know, it fits, it's a whole package, then, you know, I'll probably buy that. And that's, you know, what we try and replicate as a label. It's quite easy to just do a digital label, you know, and that's, I'm not knocking them guys, but I don't, you need some kind of filter, you know, and I think that's the thing, you know, when everything came out on vinyl pretty much, there was a filter, you know, because, you know, it'd have to be kind of half decent to
make it onto vinyl.
Yeah, you just spend a few quid to manufacture.
And the ability to finish something in your bedroom
Yeah.
wasn't quite as good. The standard of equipment
No.
is
the
difference is getting smaller, isn't
definitely.
it? Yeah.
It's scaled right down now, and
Yeah.
you can from start to finish,
Yeah.
your bedroom, you've got T-Racks now, you can master that
Yeah.
there, sitting there.
Which was always the big thing, the mastering.
the mastering,
really.
yeah. And we still take that out, we still go to someone to master,
Yeah.
because it's, I feel that's what you should do that. You should take it to a guy who masters,
Yeah, that's right. Someone who's got the ear.
Exactly, yeah. And can just sit there and master it for you, But just going back to the product, I just want to make it special, for the guys who are out there still buying and they're putting their hand in their pocket and they actually want to buy something. And there are, still quite a few out there, because, but, saying that, we keep the stuff very limited. It's always maybe 100 CD.
Yeah.
The tapes, they were even less. I think we only did like
30 on one.
I think there was 30 on
Yeah.
30 edition, and on the raw tracks there might even be even less, which was another guy who does a fanzine actually, and I should have brought some down for you guys, but he does a fanzine in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And I just became aware of him through this fanzine and hit him up, like your fanzine, like you do.
Yeah.
If I like something, I like to get in touch and say, I like what you're doing. And we got a little rapport going, and he did a little feature in his fanzine, and he was saying, I've got these tapes, I've done this tape. I was like, wicked, I always wanted to do a tape, send me a tape. So he sent it down, and he'd done a few, for a few record shops, nothing mega. I said, how many you got left? And he said, I've got about 20. So I said, send them. So we repackaged them up in a hard sort of cardboard box, sprayed it, made it look at, presented it, and sold them on for him, sort of thing. And just because I liked his stuff. And it was like, listen, if we can affiliate that with Mjazz and sell it on for you, how do you think? Yeah. So again, it's just about doing the right thing sometimes, isn't it? And if you like something, and that sometimes that's just enough, isn't it? If you like something, to get behind it. Within drum and bass, the pinnacle of releasing a tune is on vinyl. Everyone wants to release on vinyl, but it's tricky because the sales are shrinking. But everyone's pinnacle is still to release on vinyl. So it's a bit of a
which is it's odd, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite it's almost like it's quite ironic that the pinnacle they want to release on is something that we can't sell very easily anymore. It's really hard to a good sale now. If you shift 100 units of a vinyl,
you're laughing.
300's like an amazing sale these days. I'm sure there's labels who are doing a bit more, but if you're doing 300, you're making out like a bandit. That's how it's sort of become in the vinyl market. It becomes to do a record becomes almost like an expensive hobby.
Because you have to pay to get it pressed up.
Everything. And and then you're thinking, well, I might as well press a few more because it's cheaper to. And then so it's a big gamble. I think for anyone doing vinyl, whatever their sort of medium genre, whatever, it's you've got to give them their props because it's hard work. You know what I mean? It's hard work, and it could, it can be expensive hard work as well. But with the tape thing, the tape thing's blowing up again.
Because they're cheap.
They're cheap. You can do them yourself. Listen, you don't need to go to a pressing plant. You can just sit, and that's exactly what we did with the.
Wait for your test press. Come back bad, and
that's it. We mastered, and then I bought the master CD home. I put it in my laptop. I got the tape deck out, and we just sat there. There you go. Turn that over, put it back in, and we run them off ourselves. And I was almost trying to prove a point to myself. I think that you could do a release for almost nothing. It doesn't have to cost you any. Also, we've got a direct to fan store ourselves. Which is via Surus, which is like sort of run by a distributor. It's the shop front, sort of every label they carry, we've all got our own shop front. So we're able to sort of sell direct to the fans, and there'll be the link underneath. But that allows us as well to we can sell digitally through there as well. We can sell physical through there. We can do like the limited things like the tapes. There's like a few things afoot for a few other limited things like when we did the t-shirts and we did like little 7-inch slip mats, bits and
I've
pieces.
got that.
Like,
you sent me that.
That was with that other 7 with
that's right.
Dubmonger LXC Remix 7. So it allows you to do that as well. So you can kind of do both. So
there is a physical.
Yes, always try and give something physical as well. You know what I'm saying?
Every customer gets something physical.
It's just
knock on the door.
Turn into a carry-on film. But yeah, but you know, you can make that sort of available. So it's like, you know, if you want to buy a tape, then buy a tape. If you want to download it, then there you go.
Very much.
So
yeah, exactly.
The last two big releases, I guess, Modernist 4.
Modernist 4
and Oxymoron.
Yeah, the Oxymoron LP, which is myself,
you and your man Metro.
Me and Metro, Justice and Metro, and I mean, basically that follows up an album we did a couple of years ago, which was 839. That was sort of our debut, sort of together. And then the Oxymoron album, which is the latest, is kind of based around, you know, I mean, me and Scott sort of met in the early days of rave, you know, so we used to go out and rave in fields and, you know, mad stuff. Scott a little bit more, because I kind of found a studio and that, and Scott just sort of carried on, you know what I mean? So it's kind of only in later life that, you know, we kind of got back together, and, you know, circumstances had changed, we've both grown up, you know, you've got families and whatnot, and, you know, and it's like, right, you know, Scott had kind of, you know, become more interested in, you know, producing and stuff, so it's like, well, let's get together and we'll do something, you know. Obviously I'd had my career and, you know, kind of not dipped off, but, you know, I kind of stepped out of it, and other things, life had taken over as it does, you know, and I was sort of doing other things and what have you, and so so we got together, recorded some stuff, did 839, went really well. So then we, you know, we kind of got it in mind we were writing tunes that kind of felt like they hark back to days of rave, you know. There'd be a stab in it, and I'd be like, it reminds me of when we, you know, when we were rain dance, and you know, there'd be certain vocal samples coming through. There's, you know, Trip Girl, for example, which is
it's got the LSD thing.
Yes, the LSD experiment where the girl takes and they. Which
is interesting, because when you mentioned earlier about recording stuff on the tape as a kid, I thought, it's interesting how that it gets in your mind.
I think so, and you know, and I think, you know, I think
the public service message, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think both myself and Scott have kind of quite got an interest in that, and you know, sort of the spoken word and whatever. And then, you know, there's the Dope Boy tune, which we're going to play a bit of later, which, you know, has the, again, you know, has a hip hop link, because it's from Boys in the Hood. You know, and there's all these, like, you know, so many subliminal little things in there. Without even kind of knowing about it. And it just really put us in mind of, like, you know, I suppose where we both started out, you know, raving in fields and what have you, and that became the concept and the kind of whole sound for the project, and you know, and that's kind of what it was based around, you know, the kind of the going back. It was kind of an oxymoron, you know. It was an oxymoron in the sense that it was old but new, you know. It was the old but sort of done in a modern way, you know, because we weren't trying to emulate, you know, the stuff we were hearing back then. We weren't trying to remake hardcore. We were just trying to take the feeling.
It's almost a pilgrimage to it.
It was homage.
Yes.
It was trying to take the even more than just the feeling we both had when we hear things, and then, like, sort of put them into these things now, and kind of, wow,
that's the beauty of music. You can dip in and out and sort of go back and try and recreate something.
And it can really transport you sometimes.
Yeah,
you know
totally.
What I mean? And it was. We were doing things, and it was like, wow, you know, that really takes me. That reminds me of
the mix. Sums up perfectly. The beginning mix, which we'll put on our website, or on our Facebook and whatever.
It kind of just encapsulated that whole thing again, where you know, you can go out, you could hear Sasha DJ next to Groove Rider, next to, you know, you could go to a rave and Big Daddy Kane was doing a PA, or EPMD were at, I'm sure they were at Sunrise or one of them big raves. You know, you get a hip hop act just pop up in it
once in a while.
It's kind of like, wow, you know, or you know, kind of reminded me going to, I don't know, say like Dingwalls, you know, the original one, like maybe on a Friday night, and you know, they'd be playing some hip hop, they play this, you know. I saw Caveman do a PA there, and then I'm sure there was someone playing house afterwards, and but you know, you were there, it was good tunes getting played, and
regardless of what they were,
of genre or whatever, and, and it was kind of, it was kind of that was kind of the whole concept, and it kind of, I think it worked.
Totally.
I think it, you know, it sounded well, you know.
And
you know, and it's still available in the stores. There's still some nice little 10 inches for all you vinyl lovers, you know. We still got some 10s.
All the details will be up.
All the details.
The sampler video is brilliant as well.
Yeah. So that was another guy who from the same era, who would have come out raving with us, who Scott kind of kept in touch with, who was a friend of Scott's, and that's what he does now, makes video. I'd really like, can I make a video for you guys? So I think he was initially going to take a track and do a whole video, and then I think when we sent him or Scott sent him the bits, I think we did him like a little clips mix, so he could just hear a little bit of a tune, and then get his head, maybe I'd. And then he just basically built a video around the clips thing. Right. So it was like, right, that's that, and then that goes into, so there's, the 10 tunes represented on the video, so and a little bit for each. And
it's wicked.
Yeah, it's really good, and
especially the smashing of the telly.
The smashing, and I think some of that footage is his own, and then I think some's from where I'm not really too sure where he got it all from, but it goes together really
works well.
And again, I think it visually creates a nice image for the project, and certainly kind of shown us that because Scott's just done another video for one of the tunes, Snail. I don't know if you've seen that.
I've seen
one.
that.
And again, it's just like just get a snail off somewhere and make a little video out of it, but it works really well, and it just shows that you can do things simply and nice, and it just works. It's just effective. Next album on Mjazz is called Works, and basically that is going to be a collection of stuff spanning from '95 to like the present day.
Okay.
Wicked.
So it's going to encapsulate probably like the first 5 releases, first 4 or 5, and then there was some some stuff in between, and maybe some newer stuff as well. But it's going to encapsulate the last however many years.
Is like an anthology.
Like an anthology, yeah. And maybe some have never. I think primarily it's going to be a digital thing. There might be like a physical thing as well, but we're just toying with the idea of because some of this stuff's never been out digitally, so it just kind of makes sense to catalogue it. It's almost like an archive, I guess. Just to there you go. That's that kind. There it is. It's all there. Because often stuff will come out on digital, for a short time. We've had stuff that's gone out and then it's not there anymore. So it's just kind of a way of here it is. It's all together now. So if you want it, it's from the first to here. So and then me and Scott are going to do some more stuff. I think kind of. I don't know. It's hard to say. Until you start. We've started tinkering. Let's put it that way. We're always playing about with some, ideas, and there's definitely some ideas coming, and there's probably a few other things that are going to happen. But it's hard to say. Do you know what I mean? I'm probably gonna.
So basically, watch this space.
Watch this space, yeah.
Well, when you get something new coming out, you and Scott, both of you come in.
Yeah, definitely.
Make some room for another person.
We'd have to get another chair. He's only little though. So.
It's on your knee.
Yeah,
lovely. Excellent.
He can do the Ronnie Corbett bit.
Yeah. Right, well,
fantastic.
That was fantastic.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you very much. You're a lovely fella.
No, so are you too. So are you. It's been excellent.
Shall we play some records?
Let's play some records.
Oh, cool, man.
I'm good. What a fantastic interview that was.
Yeah, brilliant.
And now, what we got?
What's this album called?
It's
from Johnny Trunk.
Yeah, it's from the Trunk Meister. It's the Colts percussion ensemble.
Percussions?
The Colts. Percussion ensemble.
Colts.
Yeah. You've got to be careful how you say that.
You do.
You have to be.
None of this see you next Tuesday. There's no, sir.
And it's a tune called Bayer, I believe.
Yeah. And it's by a load of young girls.
Johnny Trunk got a load of young girls together.
Apparently so, yeah, that's right, yeah. No, well, there's a nice picture of one of the Vibes players on the back there, and this is a group of young girls who actually smashed some absolute fantastic, obscure, brilliant, random, weird stuff, and there's
quite a few good tracks. It's difficult to pick, but
it's a really nice album.
Johnny Trunk as always doing the job.
Yeah,
I quite like the idea of Irish Washerwoman on this one.
That's quite a good tune as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all good. I mean,
My Love, She's But a Lassie Yet. Anyway, really quite nice, I have to say. Really very nice.
Vibesy.
It is vibesy. It is. It's like Roy Ayers, but not if he was a 14-year-old girl in England.
From Scotland.
From Scotland.
Scottish,
Wow.
They're all from north of the border. Apparently.
There you go.
Maybe
One for Ouija and Scratch and Sniff.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Have a little nod to this. I haven't seen a lot of nodding tonight, really. Come on.
Not as much nodding to the fives.
Well, there's a bit of shivering because it's so bloody cold. That's about it. This is so good.
This is excellent, yeah.
It's been very good.
Yeah, so we have got Napa from Luton and Capo. Excellent British MC.
Really good.
That's brand new.
Yeah.
Limited edition of 300.
Yeah, that was from the man Napa himself, so you know, he hand delivered it, so we got that. Thanks,
Can't
mate.
get better than that, can you?
No, you can't.
So you can still get them?
Yeah, this is
I'll put the
available
details
still.
up right here.
I think it's through these guys, King Underground. That's the label, so I should imagine you can get it through
Yeah,
their
so
site.
2013, so this is brand spanking new. 300 only, get them while you can.
If you can.
If you can, yeah. Wicked.
Really good.
Yeah, I'm definitely buying that too.
And we've got another bit of hip hop coming up next, haven't we?
We have got another bit. Oh, what a bit.
Oh,
A bit from you.
a bit from him. So let's go.
So Tony, what's this, mate?
Now, this is a track called Sounds Like Science. This is myself, DJ Pulse, and the aforementioned Denoid. I think we've mentioned it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And he was a fella from LA who's a really very good rapper. So
Dominant species. Rush the station with oxygen mask to stifle our strategy.
Very nice indeed.
It was on hand. Man with a lyrical laser. Docking protocols bypass backup engager.
Yeah, good rap and good production.
yeah.
You can't go wrong, can you?
You certainly can't.
When was this?
2008, it says here.
well, it was done before then. I mean, basically, I think we did it. I'm pretty sure we did it for Pulse was doing an LP. It was done for that. The LP never came out. These guys wanted to license it, so they licensed it for this. But you know,
So this is the only thing it's on.
this is the only bit of vinyl that's ever come out on.
I now own this.
And so do I.
There's not many of them. 'Cause
That man's generous.
I think the labels could put now it's gone Cook Shop what it came out on it's since gone under, so I think that's pretty much one of the last.
Cool. Well, get one of these because it's bloody awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was this or we were going to play Whack MCs,
Which is also brilliant. So good.
clear 10 inch.
Yeah.
Always a nice one to see.
Well, from this we're going to go back to the old school and a nice little 45 7-inch from Eric B and Rakim. So
Oh, yes.
let's go there.
There's a lot of love for hip hop sevens at the moment. People are collecting them like you wouldn't believe.
That's right. Well, I think it's because a lot of people want to go out there and do a 7-inch only set, so these actually fit in perfectly, obviously. But
This is a great set.
killer. Now, and I've heard that Rakim's coming back over soon as well, so it would be. I see him a couple of years ago, and he was absolutely brilliant. So yeah, it would be good to go and see him again.
Well, he's one of the, you know, for me, he's
Probably one of the best MCs.
Yeah.
If not the best.
Definitely.
Totally. So for Rakim,
You wanna come in
if
the
you want to
shed?
come in the shed,
You are welcome.
we would love to have you.
We've got Oxygen coming over from New York in a few weeks now.
Yeah.
What's that? That'd be excellent.
Totally.
He's digging out some tunes. I reckon he's going to bring an excellent box of records.
Oh, that'd be nice,
That puts
wouldn't
him
it?
under pressure, doesn't it?
And he's got that lovely little 5-inch.
I've got that.
Yeah.
The Fisher Price right there. That's brilliant. That sits on my shelf with pride.
Mine too, yeah.
I ain't got one.
Old man out.
Whatever. Yeah, no.
This is wicked though. This is one of those great
Totally,
shit.
yeah. So yeah, the main track from their second album, and yeah, what a great,
Is this a
great
set
tune.
you've had for a really long time that you dug out to, or you just
Yeah, no, I've had it for quite a while. Probably from around the era. Just maybe just after, you know. I have had it a while. Yeah.
Because I remember at the time, it was always they were always in the bargain sort of like thing. No one wanted sevens, so you could always pick up a load of sevens. And I remember picking up loads at the time.
I don't think it was very much money. No. I think it was, you know, like you say, bargain basement.
Exactly, yeah.
£1 or something.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, after this, we are going to our break of the week, and ooh, what a corker it is, and a big money piece as well, which this man got for 50p. So, jammy man. Anyway, so we've got a bit of Manzel coming up next, so here we go.
Break of the week. Sounds like a bit of modern jazz. Modern
Done it,
jazz,
Yeah, it's 1979, isn't it? I think it's quite a new one. Well,
New for me, Chris.
yeah. No, this is such a killer tune. I've had versions of it for years, but never actually had the 7. And for this dude to pick up a 50p, well done.
Maybe 20.
Maybe 20p.
Maybe 20.
God.
I mean, you said you picked it up quite young, didn't you?
Yeah, I would have been 16, 17. I didn't really know what it was. I just saw
Space Fun.
Space Fun. I saw the label. You know, it's got my word for fun. It might have been the same time I got maybe the Eric B and Raccoon.
Well, you love stories like that, don't you? When you pick up something really, really cheap.
Yeah.
And it does happen to all of us. And great tune, man. This is so good.
It's got to be one of the best ones I've got for that sort of. You know, when you get lucky, you know, you get lucky sometimes.
Yeah, well, I don't think you're going to find the original for less than £100, so
It's all good.
yeah, and it's in nice condition as well, so there you go. Wicked tune.
Great tune.
Excellent.
Great tune.
And this is pop, skipping and dancing to our theme of the week and our last track of the show as well. A nice long ass one this week.
Yeah.
And so we've got a nice reggae version of Shaft coming up, right?
Yeah.
So here we go. Yeah, this is our theme of the week. Shaft. Obviously Isaac Hayes, but no, this is a different version. And this is Byron Lee and the Dragonaires from the Reggae Hot Cool and Easy album. It's got another great James Brown cover on this called Hot Reggae. It's actually a cover of Hot Stuff, and this is a really nice version of Shaft.
Good tune. I need to big my man Andy up for this at Final Revelations, Luton.
There you go.
The only record shop we've got left, so big him up.
Big up, Andy.
It's actually better than the original.
Great.
Yeah, we've actually started playing quite a lot of like the sort of like funky reggae covers at the moment, and they always go down well.
They do go down well, yeah.
He's such a snappy looking dude. Look at him.
Look at the guy.
Yeah.
And it's nice and refreshing because it's such a good tune that's been played to death and almost ruined.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's the thing. I think tunes get like that, don't they? And it's just giving a new lease, really.
Fantastic. Well, that is our 9 tracks and our lovely, yeah, it probably was, yeah. And what a great guest
Before we
as well.
go and say thank you to our good man, Tony Justice.
Thank you both.
Saturday, you got Doctor's Orders doing DJ Premiere, Peanut Butter Wolf, The Next Men, Mr. Thing, Spin Doctor, Kazahaya, Crispy Cuts, No Fingers, MC Prankster, and obviously, you know, a great crowd as well.
Yeah.
It looks like a special night.
Totally.
Yeah, it's at the Scala. If you ain't got tickets yet, go outside and queue up. And obviously, next week, we're at Breaking Bread. We'll keep plugging it till we're there. Come along, it's at the Bell. It's free. We will bring a sack of beauties with us.
That's right.
Sure you will.
And it will be
And ruin it.
There's some cracking DJs there as well as us, obviously, and there'll probably be some breakers. Cheap bar, free to get in. You can't go wrong.
That's right. Yeah, reward you on. Anyway, so
thank you so much, mate.
Nice one. Thank you. Thank you both.
Yeah.
It's been making it out to the
It's
shed.
been an absolute pleasure.
It's been an honour.
Yeah, this man, what an interview, what a guy, what a label, what a body of work.
There you
What
go.
a body.
What a body. Ooh, smoking.
Come to the shed, you get compliments.
Yeah.
And biscuits.
Oh, we never
I
ate
didn't
them.
open them. I'm going to open them now.
How do you keep that body that good, mate?
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
Have some Fox's Chunky Cookies.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.
See you later.